Maggie believed Pete had rescued her from the misery of Rum Alley. But inside a smoke-filled music hall, strangers saw something in her that she could not yet see herself. Before leaving, she recoiled from two fallen women, never imagining how closely their fate might resemble her own. Chapter 12. In a hall of irregular shape sat Pete and Maggie drinking beer. A submissive orchestra dictated to by a spectacled man with frowsy hair and a dress suit industriously followed the bobs of his head and the waves of his baton. A ballad singer in a dress of flaming scarlet sang in the inevitable voice of brass. When she vanished, men seated at the tables near the front applauded loudly, pounding the polished wood with their beer glasses. She returned attired in less gown and sang again. She received another enthusiastic encore. She reappeared in still less gown and danced. The deafening rumble of glasses and clapping of hands that followed her exit indicated an overwhelming desire to have her come on for the fourth time, but the curiosity of the audience was not gratified. Maggie was pale, from her eyes had been plucked all look of self-reliance. She leaned with a dependent air toward her companion. She was timid, as if fearing his anger or displeasure. She seemed to beseech tenderness of him. Pete's air of distinguished valor had grown upon him until it threatened stupendous dimensions. He was infinitely gracious to the girl. It was apparent to her that his condescension was a marvel. He could appear to strut even while sitting still, and he showed that he was a lion of lordly characteristics by the air with which he spat. With Maggie gazing at him wonderingly, he took pride in commanding the waiters who were, however, indifferent or deaf. "Hi, you get a rustle on yez, what day hell yez lookin' at? Two more bees dia here." He leaned back and critically regarded the person of a girl with a straw-colored wig, who upon the stage was flinging her heels in somewhat awkward imitation of a well-known danseuse. At times Maggie told Pete long confidential tales of her former home life, dwelling upon the escapades of the other members of the family, and the difficulties she had to combat in order to obtain a degree of comfort. He responded in tones of philanthropy. He pressed her arm with an air of reassuring proprietorship. "Day was damn jays," he said, denouncing the mother and brother. The sound of the music which, by the efforts of the frowsy-headed leader, drifted to her ears through the smoke-filled atmosphere, made the girl dream. She thought of her former Rum Alley environment and turned to regard Pete's strong protecting fists. She thought of the collar and cuff manufactory and the eternal moan of the proprietor. "What in hell do you sink I pie $5 a week for? Play? No, pie damn." She contemplated Pete's man-subduing eyes and noted that wealth and prosperity was indicated by his clothes. She imagined a future, rose-tinted, because of its distance from all that she previously had experienced. As to the present, she perceived only vague reasons to be miserable. Her life was Pete's, and she considered him worthy of the charge. She would be disturbed by no particular apprehensions, so long as Pete adored her as he now said he did. She did not feel like a bad woman. To her knowledge, she had never seen any better. At times men at other tables regarded the girl furtively. Pete, aware of it, nodded at her and grinned. He felt proud. "Mag, you're a bloomin' good looker," he remarked, studying her face through the haze. The men made Maggie fear, but she blushed at Pete's words as it became apparent to her that she was the apple of his eye. Gray-headed men, wonderfully pathetic in their dissipation, stared at her through clouds. Smooth-cheeked boys, some of them with faces of stone and mouths of sin, not nearly so pathetic as the gray heads, tried to find the girl's eyes in the smoke wreaths. Maggie considered she was not what they thought her. She confined her glances to Pete and the stage. The orchestra played Negro melodies and a versatile drummer pounded, whacked, clattered and scratched on a dozen machines to make noise. Those glances of the men, shot at Maggie from under half-closed lids, made her tremble. She thought them all to be worse men than Pete. "Come, let's go," she said. As they went out, Maggie perceived two women seated at a table with some men. They were painted and their cheeks had lost their roundness. As she passed them, the girl, with a shrinking movement, drew back her skirts. Narrated with Aura Reader. Turn your books, PDFs, and stories into natural-sounding audiobooks.